Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. I just got done drying my tears after these Astros games in Chicago. I was planning on jumping on the podcast, talking about the state of the Astros. We're a diehard podcast here. So, we're going to do the podcast, rain or shine, win or lose, no matter what the outcome. But my goodness, it was a tough game, folks. It was a really tough game. Welcome to Space Cadet Sports Podcast. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Space Cadet Sports. You can find the blog. You can find, podcasts, articles, memes, meme reactions, all the things that I do throughout the season at spacecadetsports.substack.com. Go ahead and check it out. You can subscribe for free, get a lot of content, follow the Astros this whole season, or you could subscribe with a paid subscription for just $5 a month. You get everything unlocked, everything that I'm going to do throughout the season, all the video podcasts, all the stuff that will eventually, potentially could be behind a paywall. You get for just $5 a month there, and a low annual fee as well. So, just go ahead and check that out. See if you're interested in that. Supporting the podcast and supporting me is very helpful. I am live in studio here in Los Angeles. Well, I'm not live. I guess we're all alive, right? But I am being recorded here in studio here in Los Angeles in sunny LA with my co-host and producer. She's taking a nap right now. The Ross to my Frasier, Carla the dog. Welcome, Carla. Sometimes she likes to jump on mic. She likes to say a couple things. Just be warned, the dog is loose. She's loose in the studio. Oh man. So yeah, I don't even know where to even begin with talking about the Astros right now, being swept by the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field, at Wrigley Field, I should say. The first time the Astros have been there since 2013. Not really the welcome back to Chicago that they were looking for, and definitely not the expectation that that they lived up to here in Chicago. I was hoping that they could win, 2 out of 3. That's really, I thought that was being hopeful. I thought that was, that was something that was achievable as well. Getting swept is not the look that we want. So let's talk about the Houston Astros Panic Meter here at Space Cadet Sports this season. Early on, I've noticed that so many fans are panicking, so I decided to start our own Panic Meter. So let's get the Panic Meter up there. Initially, I drew the Panic Meter while I was recording the podcast. I made the graphic while multitasking because, hey, it's that hustle culture, baby. You always got to be moving. But now I think it's time that we actually update the graphics for the Panic Meter. So we'll get that going soon. But the Panic Meter right now, I'm going to be honest with you, folks. Get ready. It's slightly raised. Yes, I still want to remind you right now, it's still late April. Look, the Astros have dug themselves a hole. That is the reality of the situation. The Astros have dug themselves a hole that they're going to have to be able to dig themselves out of. I still think this is a great team. I still think this is a really good roster, a roster that can be improved in certain areas, but in other areas, they're kind of hamstring to options. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. The Astros have gone deep into the playoffs with rosters that they've kind of had to piece together, or kind of had to move some pieces around at the trade deadline. And, they weren't always seen as the ideal option at the time, but it was enough to kind of bolster the roster and to get them into the deep postseason for another year. So, while I'm slightly raising the Panic Meter, I'm raising it to the place where I feel like, we're no longer at the place where you can get nachos during important moments of the game. Now they're important moments. The important moments are starting to feel a little tighter, a little tenser. I'm going to raise the Panic Meter slightly to, is this my fault? I don't know about you, but I'm a very self-deprecating person. If you've been paying attention to the podcast, I'm sure you got that. If you're paying attention to me, baby. But, I always think something is my fault. I mean, maybe it's my harsh Christian upbringing, but something has led me to believe that something is, things happening could always be my fault. And that's where I'm at right now. I still believe in this team. I still think this team can win baseball games. I still think there is a path for this team to get to the wild card, to get into the playoffs, to potentially even win the division. I know that is a bold thing to say with the Astros record and where we are at right now, but it's a long season. And the Astros might not be looking like world beaters right now, but neither necessarily are the Rangers or the Mariners. So there is a path for the Astros to get to the top of the division, especially having the edge on the Rangers right now, 4-3 in the win-loss column. So that's where I'm at right now. Is this my fault? I'm wearing my lucky shirt because, if I had to put it on at some point. Is this my fault because I'm watching? Is it the podcast's fault? Is this the fault of the Paul Broad Pod Paul blog? I'm going to get that one day. The Paul Broad Pod Ball blog. That's a joke Jesse, my brother, came up with about, referencing Arrested Development, but it's too much of a mouthful for me to say. But yeah, like I'm here, I go spiraling again, thinking that, something is my fault, folks. But, that's where I'm at in the panic meter. I'm definitely starting to worry. There's a little bit of concern, but that generally passes after the game and after I kind of look things through a little more logically. But I understand there's a lot of fans out there that, maybe they're not watching the games, or maybe they're just watching highlights, or God forbid, they're just reading, articles off The Athletic and these really angry podcasts. You're getting your news from there, so you're getting really riled up. I understand that. This is a very frustrating team right now. You're all entitled to your emotions, but just don't be driven by your emotions. Don't get into anger and hate because of how bad this team is performing. This is a baseball team. There are much bigger problems in the world right now, folks. I definitely say be a little frustrated, be a little angry, but don't turn this into this keyboard warrior stuff and this hate-filled vitriol that we're throwing around at our team and our coaches because we're letting these blogs and these X boys on X and these sports radio boomers that are calling into the AM radio stations get us all riled up. Kind of take the long-term view here. And I know that can be difficult, but that's really what we want to see right now. The seasons are long. This is not where they want it to be, but there is always a next year. And I know that's hard to hear for some Astros fans right now. I'm not calling this season like so many other blogs are, but if you are going to fall for that narrative, if you're already saying the season is over, here I have a surprise for you, a gift, if you will, some optimism. This is a well-constructed team, a well-constructed and run organization, and there's always next year. Astros fans have been so spoiled by dominant teams, and the ALCS has just become something of an expectation for so many fans, especially new fans that maybe didn't live through, but weren't watching the Astros in the 2010s and the 2000 era that those were some awful teams, and you were saying there's always next year in April. Realistically, those years we've been spoiled by excellence. So now the fact that the Astros are kind of struggling, are taking their lumps, and are not playing winning baseball in the sense of the word, that they're not winning the baseball games, Astros fans are starting to panic. They're starting to worry. But I get it. But this is not the starting pitching that fans or the front office wanted or was hoping for. But you don't trade everyone or give up on the new manager or fire everyone because of 1 month of baseball. It's kind of like the Rick Sanchez meme. Like this, it's a long season. I want to just rip off the wallpaper and show you what the other Aprils have been like in the past. I was texting with my good friend Wookie. Shout out Wookie. He's a fan of the podcast, one of my biggest supporters. I appreciate you, bro. But we were talking about the Astros. And something that we were texting about, of course it's a long season. We have hope. We're a little concerned. We're both diehards. But something I texted to him is like, the Astros have ruined my April so many years now. It's been a lot of bad Aprils. And in a way, that's kind of why I wanted to start this podcast. That's why I wanted to start this blog, because these Aprils are so overwhelmingly negative. As a Houston Astros diehard fan, it's hard to not fall for the narratives or to get suckered in to some of these talking points that these crazy pundits are having just to kind of get clicks. It's all clickbait in a lot of ways this early in the season. I wanted to bring a little positivity, a little optimism, a little humor to the season so that we can enjoy it a little more. Now, I'm hoping the humor isn't at the Astros' expense all season, but that is kind of what I wanted to do. The Astros have been that team, even if they haven't been that team in April. They've been good and lucky. They've played with a chip on their shoulder when you look back at it. But when the team slump, when teams slump, they don't look like that team. And that's what this team is doing right now. This team is slumping. They don't look like that team. They seem to be getting wildly unlucky. And, maybe they're playing with the dip on their shoulder. A dip isn't that bad, you might say. But what are you going to dip into the dip? I mean, it's playing with the chip. Never mind. Playing with the chip on your shoulder is better. But anyway, it's you people, not me. You people sound crazy right now. Now, I am frustrated too. This isn't the start to the season that I want. I don't like losing whatsoever. I hate having to defend this team, so frequently, first to wild Dodger fans and now to these feral so-called Astros fans that are losing their minds. Now, you have to remember, this is a loud minority of fans. In this day and age, there's a lot of normal thinking people in this country and in this world and even online, but not all of them are crazy commenters. The people that want to have their opinions heard and have crazy opinions generally rise to the top because, their voices get amplified because there's more views on that and more likes and more comments on that because of the hatred towards it. So, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Not everybody in the Astros fan base is that crazy. It's a very loud minority that is making everybody look nuts. So, go talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to them about being insane on the internet and maybe dialing that back a little bit. This team still has great players. Yes, they are slumping. Yes, they don't seem to be able to turn it on in the late innings. And yes, this team may have to platoon first base if results don't start trending upward soon. But these are all things that the Astros can bounce back from. Some of y'all are so new, you don't even remember last season. The Astros struggled so much during the season and won the division on the last day of the season. It was nail biting. It was dramatic. It was how the Astros do it sometimes. During this slump, I've gone back to watch some old games, to be honest. And I watched an old playoff Astros win during the Golden Era, and I felt so crazy for choosing that game because it was such an emotional roller coaster going back and forth, the ups and downs. I even forget for a minute there, I thought we were going to lose, even though I know I chose a game we won. This team, for whatever reason, they tend to get into trouble and get themselves out sometimes. More times than not, at least lately, enough to get them to the postseason and have deep runs. So, right now it's tight, but I'm saying have a little faith. I don't think saying things that are insane, like trade the whole team or DFA people because of one bad month is what you do. This team has long-term goals. We're working towards the playoffs here, people, not just this season, but for extended seasons because this team was built to be a dynasty. That's what everybody has been saying about it. It's the golden era of Astros baseball. But then, the results don't go in your favor and you go crazy. It's just one bad month. We don't just roll over for one bad month. I'm starting to worry about you people. I'm worried about you're so unstable. I'd really hate to be your partners. Your poor husband or wife of 7 years just sent packing because y'all had some argument about what temperature you set the thermostat to. I mean, look, this is a bump. Calm down, baby. Things get better. I hate to say it, but apologizing to your partner is something I have a little experience in. So I'll try to bring my acting to this. I'm sorry, girl. Let's just turn the page and focus on our future. Oh, hang on. I'm getting a text from my lady. Yeah, she's saying we're breaking up over this joke. Yeah, this is just a bump, folks. This will make the season an uphill battle. Yes, but the Astros were built to win games. Hopefully more starting pitching and everyone else's stats will start to return to the normal. Or, sadly, perhaps a platoon situation at first base until Abreu figures it out. John Singleton today started his second game in a row in Chicago. Abreu's old stomping grounds. I know not the South Side specifically, but you think the manager would let Abreu play in Chicago. It's a big move by Espada in this game by playing Singleton twice in the series and by pulling Verlander out early. I know some people might say that's a controversial decision, but pulling Verlander out early to keep him fresh throughout the season. I think I think this team will start to win games. The stats are favorable for the Astros offense. If they can get better production from first base, a little bit more improved production from Bregman, I suspect that these clutch issues will be fixed. Or perhaps if we get a little more from Dubon or Myers, that will help cover Bregman in the platoon. And I know it sounds crazy as I'm saying this right now, but Dubon has done great with runners in scoring position this season. At one point, he was even the top of the league in batting average with runners in scoring position, as well as Jake Myers, who is hitting the ball hard right now, folks. His exit velocity, at least before this game today, I believe, was a second only to Yordan Alvarez on the Houston Astros. He is crushing balls out there. You know, uh, also, one other potential option that isn't Joey Loperfido or a waiver ad like Garrett Cooper, would be Mi Primo, Cesar Salazar. Obviously, no relation, folks, but I have to claim him, call him family. If they call up a third catcher like Cesar Salazar, there is a possibility for Victor Caratini to start more frequently. And Victor Caratini has done really well for the Astros so far offensively this season. The thought is in this idea is that Carantini or Diaz would play first, and the other would play catcher, and Salazar would act as a safety net as a third catcher on this roster. And the only flaw I see in this is that I don't think Singleton has played in a way so far up to this season where the team would want to lose him. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but I see that as being something that could happen in May if Abreu continues to struggle and if this team continues to struggle to get wins. It seems to me that the front office is giving Singleton an honest chance. And while there may be some roster casualties throughout the season, it doesn't seem that Singleton is meant to be one right now. It seems like he's part of the long-term season plan for the Astros. But if weeks continue and the Astros continue to lack these wins and lack run productions, I can see the Astros having to make some tough decisions. And yeah, I might want to add that, with slugging options, Mi Primo, Cesar Salazar, isn't exactly known for his slugging quite yet. He would definitely be a defensive catcher replacement and just a safety net. And I'm not sure if you, at the Astros at this moment, want to use a whole roster spot on that unless it's just really that tight at first base. But Primo, I'll give you my hitting tips anytime you want. Come on the podcast. I'd love to talk baseball with you, just so you can know what advice is nonsense and how to distinguish that and avoid advice like mine. Another thing that I wanted to talk about real quick was just it seemed like it's been such a bummer. Like it seemed like I've mentioned before that I watch all of the games. I watch every inning of Astros baseball so far this season. I watch it, frankly, so you don't have to. It's been a tough season. It's been a lot of bad luck, it seems like. When we look, if you listen to one of the previous podcasts here, I believe just the previous one, I talked about the Astros team stats this season and how they're leading in average, on base, slugging, hits. There's so many offensive categories they're leading in, but they're struggling in late innings. Just not today's game, but yesterday's game in the top of the eighth inning. This is how I've been feeling all season long. The Astros were down with two runners on the corners and one out. And Victor Caratini was up to hit, who's been really swinging a good bat lately, really on fire, especially in Chicago. I felt this was the turning point for the Astros. Instead, Caratini hits a liner towards third, and the third baseman miraculously snags it and kills the momentum. Jake Myers, who also has been smacking balls around, steps up and strikes out. Rally ends, game is over, momentum killed. And even today, in the ninth inning, there was some action on the bases. It looked like the Astros were going to have some help. It looked like they were going to tie the game against Hector Neris minimally. John Singleton got up to the bat with two outs, runners on the corners, I believe, yet again. Singleton is taking pitches. It's what he does well. I know a lot of people have criticism of Singleton. There are holes in his game. I'm not trying to say that, but for a backup first baseman, for the job that the Astros wanted him to do, he is executing that job, taking pitches, working pitchers into the count, and trying to get on base. He worked the count, got into a decent position. He got a pitch that was down. He thought he could do something with it. He hit it towards first base and tried to get a little liner towards first that he's done, like, I believe, 2 or 3 times in the season, in this series in Chicago. Unfortunately, the first baseman was right there, able to end the game, put it out. It feels like this has been the story all season long. It has been just bad breaks, bad luck. We think we have a situation that is favorable, but the Astros just can't execute to win the game, and that's definitely frustrating. As the season goes on, we'll get more stats and be able to look at more specifically maybe who is the culprit or what is the culprit. A lot of people have talked about sequencing. We have done so many different lineups this season, and Espada has even given up on putting Alvarez second. He's heard the criticisms. Dusty Baker would run the same lineup out constantly. People, much to the chagrin of Astros fans, and and here's this new manager. He's changing the lineup. He's changing the lineup pretty frequently, trying to find ways to win games, trying to find the right sequence, and for whatever reason, they can't seem to get the win. I know that some of you are emotional from always getting your way, I guess. I don't know. But here in the real world, we're not used to always getting our way and going on the internet and acting like a fool. We're definitely going to get frustrated, but here we try to look for solutions. We try to find things through humor. I definitely do some memes at people's expense. Sometimes, of course, we're using humor. I'm just saying that going out there and calling for people getting fired this early, just booing people, being toxic fan. We don't want to be a Yankees fan base. We don't want to be a toxic fan base. If you want to be angry about something that you've elected to be a fan of, go choose to be a fan of a toxic fan base. Don't be an Astros fan. I understand that you're getting frustrated. We're all looking for solutions, but this isn't the place for firing everybody, trading everybody away, DFAing veterans in April, because that's not winning baseball. That's panicking baseball. That's reactionary. That is a short-term solution. That's how you play video games. And if that's how you run your life, that might be tough. If we're looking for consistency, that's a winning culture. That's how you build a championship organization. I know we're losing right now, but you don't suppose you'll lose forever. When a month ago, especially, you believed that you built a roster that could go to the postseason. Now the roster definitely has flaws, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You adjust, find some waiver wire finds. You make a trade deadline. You make a trade by the deadline, but you don't start panicking. You don't panic until you know that this window is completely closed. The window's nowhere close to closing right now, folks. You can calm down. Now, like I said earlier, even if this is just a bad season, we've been so spoiled that the Astros haven't even had an off season in so long. It seems like they haven't even had a traditional off season in the sense of the word because they play so much baseball throughout the year. But we need to just chill out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Honestly, I think I should check on some of y'all's babies. The bayous behind your houses are probably littered with babies that y'all gave up on. Now, if the team fails to meet serious goals at the end of the season, then we can talk about big roster moves and shaking it up, talking about trading everybody and stuff like that. But that, even so, I wouldn't want to do that after one season, but that's not serious discussion right now. This is a stellar organization and it's still April. I think some of y'all just need to go out there and maybe, get a little therapy. Also, one more note for Chicago fans. I know I definitely, trash talk is part of the game, a little smack talk's part of the game, but I just wanted to say real quick to Chicago fans, Slim Shady went out there and he hit his first home run of his career, and it seemed like people couldn't be bothered. There was a beach ball that got thrown down to the field right after that home run. I know it's windy. I know that we're in hustle culture, but that's just such a bad look. I feel bad for the good Cubs fans. There's definitely a lot of good Cubs fans. My neighbor, he's a Cubs fan. He's very happy about the outcome of this series. But you know what? I'll tell you right now, Jared, I am not moving any of your trash cans ever again. That's your job now, baby. Enjoy the sweep. You can be sweeping up your trash now. But no, I do think, that it's a bad look for the Chicago Cubs fans. I don't understand this new thing. Like, I'm definitely against the wave or against beach balls, but especially during a close game, especially when this rookie, has a big moment to get your team up to win the game. It's like how how bad at multitasking are you? How much has hustle culture gotten a hold on you that you have to play a game while going to a game like your exhibit? You're like your exhibit meme from 2010. Like, I heard you like games, dog. I understand we're all, multitasking right now, but, watching my podcast, streaming a TV show while watching TikToks before it's banned forever, while ignoring your partner who's on the same couch as you. But I get that because it's me. But you went to the baseball game, you paid the price for admission, you're paying a lot to be there, and you're playing around with the beach ball. Come on. I won't put this on all Chicago fans, but the people playing with that beach ball, come on, you're making everybody look bad. All baseball fans, truly. And another little point that I just cannot not say, Wasinski and Tayon, I'm sorry, but I'm taking your Houston card. I'm taking it right now. We cannot have you having that Houston card anymore. I'm sorry, you're just not from Houston. You're from the Woodlands, or you're from the suburbs officially now. We're not going to claim you as a Houstonian. I
Stop right there. Your joke about taking away somebody's card has forced me to revoke your comedy card.
I didn't think it was that bad of a joke. I mean, maybe I'm at the end of the podcast. I didn't land it normally, but I thought it was okay.
You can't talk your way out of this one, old man. I'm under strict orders not to argue with anyone from the future.
Well, all right. I guess that's fair. But I mean, wait.
Silence, old man. No more jokes for you.
Well, there you go, folks. I mean, but wait a second. Look, get a still of this guy. I know he was up there, but he looks oddly handsome. He looks oddly familiar. That's young me. Wait a second. Am I getting looped right now? Am I in a looper situation? Oh man. Now that I think about it, when I was a young man, I used to take people's comedy cards and comedy licenses away from them. And one day I did it to an old man that looked just like me. I don't know, but it's something we shouldn't worry about. I'm sure it won't come up ever again. But folks, I just want to thank you so much for listening to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast today. I appreciate y'all being here. Please check out the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can find us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Space Cadet Sports. You can find me personally at Paul Salazar Jr. on social media platforms everywhere. Or if you want to see some cute pictures of the producer, Carla the dog, you can find her at good.dog.carla. Thanks so much for listening. The Astros are going to turn a page here, turn it as hard as they can. We're looking forward to Mexico City. Obviously, it's been a tough go lately. Keep your head up. I might have to run away to Mexico with the Astros. We'll see. Keep your head up, though, and vamos Astros.